Hey, everybody. I am pumped to be speaking with my next guest because not only I think do we, on a philosophical level, on a business level, we agree on a lot of things, but also on a fitness level, on personal development, professional development. There's a lot of fun stuff that we have in common and a lot of fun things that we can talk about on this episode. So I'm really excited. But not only that, but he's built fitness, a massive fitness brand that not only is transcending between different target markets and helping people get more into fitness, get extreme about fitness, have better overall healthy lives. But he's also helping other entrepreneurs and getting into other businesses and assisting them and becoming a serial entrepreneur. So there's a lot of fun stuff that we're going to talk about, but I'm really excited to talk to my friend Mussayab and his brand DMoose. Mussayab, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Samir, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Would love to have you kick things off and maybe just tell us a little bit about DMoose, the brand.
Yeah, DMoose actually started after me going through some of my own health and wellness issues. I was, dipping my feet in entrepreneurship after starting like different ventures and, failing in a lot of different things, including real estate, drop shipping, and stock market. I actually started a couple of brands on Amazon. One was a fitness brand and one was a baby brand. And I was very excited about the fitness side of things because I was going through my own health and wellness issues at that time. I was diagnosed with serious IBS condition. Used to have pain in my colon all the time and in my intestines all the time. My stomach was on fire. I had H. pylori. I was in a really bad state. So that when I was going online and I was searching for different solutions, I was I was a newbie in fitness at that time. I did not know enough information. I actually literally did not know, coming from Pakistan, what a protein is, what a carbohydrate is. So was reading a lot of blogs, listening to a lot of different people. And what I noticed was like everything is like everywhere. There's people who are selling supplements, there's like blogs, selling you different workout programs, there's like people selling apparel, then there's like different brands like selling equipment and accessories, and I did not know who to trust and where to go, and I was like always fumbling between taking the workouts from bodybuilding.com and buying my products on either Amazon or Rogue Fitness and stuff like that. So that kind of gave me an idea, like, hey, if there is another person who is going through the same struggles as me, who is very new into fitness, it will be great to have a platform where, they can come in, they can trust the brand, they can trust the business, and all of their fitness needs can be satisfied under, just like one roof. So that was the vision. That started as the vision, and we are not fully there yet. We do have a lot of things. We sell like supplements, we sell weightlifting equipment, weightlifting accessories. We're adding apparel right now. We have an extensive blog. We want to make more workouts. So our goal is to now these days the goal is to create a platform where we're not just supporting the fitness, but also supporting the overall health and wellness, not just from the fitness point of view, but also from a very holistic, fulfilling life point of view as well. Like teach people not just about fitness, but also what they can do in other aspects of their life to live a fulfilling life.
I love it. So I'm really curious though, because like you said, right, you're seeing these big brands crushing it potentially, but also there's these silos. They're not connected. They're not giving you the full package. I mean, how did you feel like kind of entering, or maybe I'll ask it, where do you feel like you were able to enter the market and still have success that enabled you to kind of stand out from the crowd maybe?
So we definitely did not start with everything, from day one. We started with weightlifting accessories, like small things, and we started selling those on Amazon. Slowly, we like started, dipping our feet into, weightlifting equipment such as barbells and a little bit of weights here and there. But those were more like generic equipment, and then we started like with some generic supplements. Started dipping our feet in there, but once because in the beginning I was like, hey, if I will just make a brand, as any new entrepreneur, we make the products and we think like people will just come to us and they will buy from us, but that's never the case. And slowly over the course of time, I have realized like, hey, marketing is everything. Every single business needs to focus on marketing, because as entrepreneurs who are good in making products, we do not focus on having a right marketing plan. After launching those generic barbells and generic supplements, I realized like, hey, we need to be even though we are fulfilling the promise of having all the products under one roof, we still need to focus more on uniqueness and customization and bringing in more products that that no one else is providing, that we're like even within the niche like that we have, and within the specific niche of supplements, we need to go vertical and deeper and finding like what are not people doing, and we need to do that. Like we identified a few things. For example, in supplements, it's also important to like understand what kind of audience you are serving. So before, when we started launching barbells, I thought like we are catering the bodybuilding and powerlifting kind of community, people who are into workout all the time. And as I said, being a newbie in fitness, I did not know how polluted the fitness industry is, quite honestly, with steroids and with a lot of gimmicks and testosterone. I'm not against like doing some sort of like TRT or anything, especially if you have like some kind of a problems. But like there's people who are taking like steroids and all that stuff, and they come on Instagram and they show it to new people like us, like, and we think like it's this is what we have to achieve. And then once we start doing that, we don't get the results, we get like frustrated, we are like, we cannot do this, and we stay the same. So I wanted to bring the realistic expectations, and so we changed our entire strategy, where we are like not focusing on bodybuilders or powerlifters. I have nothing against them, but to me, living a long, happy, fulfilling, disease-free life is more important than having a short-term goal of making muscles just for the sake of Instagram or social media. So once we dove deeper into our audience and realized like, hey, what is the most important thing for our audience, and also for most people, this is the most important thing, like happiness, overall happiness. And happiness comes from living a disease-free life.
Yeah.
Like it's the most important thing, right? You need to be confident in your body. So we focused on supplements that are now more organic, more natural. They don't have any artificial sweeteners, they don't have any like bad stuff in them. We're focusing on making products that are not super complex, that are also very, very simple, that you can kind of like use at home or on the go. And it's not like Rogue Fitness that we have like 900 machines and stuff like that. So because our goal is to cater to the audience that is very busy, who just wants to focus on their fitness, who are not into like going gym like 5 times a day and eating 7 meals a day. We're just like catering to the everyday people. So that's how like it has all changed, and this is also changing based on how I am going in the fitness industry as well, and I am trying to change my life and learning new things, and we're kind of like pivoting the brand trajectory towards that as well. Also interviewing a lot of people to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that, because you sort of started with what you thought was your ideal customer profile, where you thought you wanted to go because you thought, hey, there's a big market here, they are passionate about these types of products, they spend a lot of money. But then you completely pivoted to almost a completely different ideal customer profile, not only based off of feedback and data and your customers, but also just because of your own personal, right? Your personal, not only passion, but personal goals and core values, I guess I would put. Do you feel
absolutely.
like that, like the core value portion was a big piece of that kind of transitioned you into, pivoting the brand?
Absolutely. Coming from Pakistan, I was actually taught all the time that, my goal is to, find a best job, right? That's why I became an engineer. I came to Canada to do masters. As soon as I finished masters, my number one goal was to find a job, right? So once I found a job and I started working for a couple of years, I realized like, hey, this is not what I want, right? I need to do something else. So I started doing, dipping my feet into some other ventures, as I said, real estate, stocks, and, a lot of other things. So I started into entrepreneurship. And once I, started my business, I started becoming successful. I started making money, right? And then actually when I started making money, I went into a little bit of a depression because I thought money was the solution to everything, because that's how uh, kind of the business world or the social media teaches us like money, money, money. And so once I started making money, I bought like a sports car. I had a Audi SUV, and like I had, I started spending money like crazy on travel and a lot of different things, but it wasn't bringing me any satisfaction. Soon I realized, hey, money is not the answer. Like the actual fulfillment is the answer. So I started becoming a student of seeking fulfillment, which actually also drove the direction of the brand. Like, the actual goal in life is to not seek even fitness. It's just like fitness is a small aspect of your life that can bring you the fulfillment, but the fulfillment also needs to come from a lot of other aspects as well. So as I said, I became a student of like understanding, happiness, understanding fulfillment, and I realized like in anything that we do in this life, and almost any person I know is seeking happiness at the end of the day. We are all like seeking happiness, whatever we are doing. If we are traveling, we're starting new business, we are working out, we're going for a run, we are eating right. At the end of the day, the goal is like seeking happiness and seeking fulfillment. And what does like, so seeking happiness and fulfillment is the ultimate goal, but there are some pillars underneath that you need to satisfy, and those are like health, wealth, and relationships. So if you focus on those three main pillars, health, wealth, and relationships, which I call family, fitness, and freedom, if you kind of like fine tune those individual pillars, you will be able to satisfy the overall happiness. So I also attended few business events as well from with Russell Brunson and Tony Robbins, and they I think it was Brandon Bouchard, one of his seminars, he was talking about like sell happiness. If you are a business who is in the business of selling happiness rather than selling products, you will never go out of business. So that kind of like stood up with me. And then I realized, hey, I do not need to just selling the fitness portion of the things. I also need to sell this lifestyle and, communicate that with the people. Hey, like fitness is not everything. You also need to focus on your mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, because if you will not optimize those, fitness alone is not going to do anything. And it's funny, like as I was focusing on all of these things, my wife, she was training with a personal trainer at that time, and her husband was like a very, very, very fit guy. And one day she came home, my wife, and she was like very shocked. And I asked her what happened, and she said my trainer's husband committed suicide in his gym. Like they found him hanging himself. And I was like, man, that's like really sad. And so I dove further into that story, and I realized like, hey, that guy was really fit. Like he had like 6-pack abs, and he was very fit, and he owned his own gym, but he was not very much into his family. Like he did not spend time with his family, and he was like, not more of a family guy. So he was that. So he was not fulfilled in his life. That's why he committed like suicide. Again, going back to the example of like from business and from personal point of view, I believe it's very important to seek fulfillment in life.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's really true to look at what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish, and then like what happens after those two, right? Because I think that is something where we chase this carrot, we chase this shiny object, we chase a revenue number, income level, whatever it is. But really, what does that do for you, right? Is, of course, everybody, we need a certain amount of money to accomplish a certain level of happiness, right? If you can't afford the groceries, okay, that's different, right? But let's assume you are above that level, then getting more and more and more, like what does that give you? We had a great episode for those of you listening. If you've listened to the Brian Clayton episode with Green Pal, sorry, if you haven't listened to it, I would recommend it. But like, he had a neighbor who who died of like a brain aneurysm or something like that, super young. And he was the exact same. He was just totally focused on work, working 1 million hours a week. The business is going great. Everything's going great. And he was like, I'm not even living my life. And he immediately kind of sold everything. And he's been living this very nomadic lifestyle, traveling the world since, and working way less. Right. And he's enjoying his life a lot more. And I think that's something where a lot of the times we're chasing this goal, but we're not enjoying the ride along the way, which is so important. And I completely agree with you. But I think the other piece of it is like, what happens after that? So it's like, okay, hey, I want to grow this big business. Then I want to sell it. What are you going to do after you sell it? If you don't know that, like if you don't have these clear visions of what that looks like, that is not the thing that's going to bring you happiness, right? I think the other analogy that's really good is the gold Olympic winners, right? They say like silver and bronze are like really happy after, but gold get into this deep depression because it's like, what's next? I worked so hard to get to this point. Now what do I do? Right. And I love that you're talking about having that balance. And what I like about your 3 pillars as well is it's completely different aspects of life, right? Where if one is just completely off kilter, there's a real problem, right? And even on the fitness side, you're not talking about going all in and becoming buff, because if you become super buff, you actually may decrease the expectancy of your life, right? It's just being healthy. And so I'm curious, just how have you personally navigated achieving the balance, right? Especially with demands of running a successful business, but having that family, fitness, and freedom. Yeah. How do you navigate that balance?
I would say, I mean, number one thing I started doing was gratitude, because you need to be grateful with what you have, obviously, like whatever family, fitness, freedom, whatever God has given you. And then you start focusing on like improving that. So number one, you have to be grateful, because we always look at people who are doing better than us, and we always keep comparing ourselves with those better people. I don't have a better car. I don't have a better health. I don't have more money. I don't have like 3 kids. I don't have a house yet, like, it's our own journey. So start comparing yourself with just your own self. And secondly, time management has been, one of my biggest hacks that I started implementing, and writing a journal that has helped me, finding balance in all of these different things. For example, before I was working again, like from 7 a.m. all the way till like 2 a.m. the next day. Like I had no friends, no family, my health, I wasn't working out. It was just all work. So again, it didn't happen in just like one day, but slowly through the course of my entrepreneurship and, business journey, I learned one thing and I realized, oh my God, I'm doing this bad. And, first I was making money, my health was bad. And then I started focusing on making my health better. Then I had my health and I had the money, and I realized, hey, I'm still missing something. So, and then I actually watched a documentary on Netflix one day. It's called Down to Earth. And it's a documentary by Zac Efron, and he goes into all of these different blue zones, and he's, interviewing all of these different people. So he actually goes into this one town in Italy called Sardinia, and he's talking to this old guy. He's 94 years old. And that guy is like, still going up and down the hill every single day. He's still like drinking wine. He's still smoking cigar. And then, he's spending time with his grandkids, and, he's going home and watching his kids and grandkids like cook together each other. So I was watching at that time. I was working on my fitness. I was working too much on my business. And while I was watching that documentary, all of a sudden it clicked me. Hey man, this, like, I need to be this guy, man. Like, what is what is that guy doing that I am not doing, right? And he's so happy, like 94 years old, he has the health, he's like, blah blah blah, everything. He's not a bodybuilder. He doesn't go to the gym like 24 hours a day. He's not working, 3 times a day and going on Instagram, but he's so happy, right? And he's 94 years old. So it clicked me that, hey, family is also very important, family and friends and social connections. So at that moment on, I like started focusing on like my social connections as well. So, I mean, and then I kind of used that knowledge, used that experience to obviously craft a vision for my life. Like, hey, when I'm 80 years old, how do I want to look like? And then, slowly going backward. I believe you need to have like a very big vision for your life, especially when you're 80 years old or 100 years old. What do you want to be? Like, but then you need to have a 10-year goal, and then 5-year goal, 3-year goal, 1-year goal. And then you need to divide that 1-year goal into like 3 months, and then a monthly goal, and then a weekly goal, and then a daily goal. So then daily defines everything. I believe daily you need to do every single thing. It's not like I will give some family time to my family next week. This week I'm gonna work on all business, next week is gonna be all like family, after that it's gonna be all. To me, every single day should be about fulfillment, every single day should be about balance. It should be a little bit of taking care of your health, working out, working on your business, working on your passion, working on your adventures, working on your goal, giving time to your wife, call your mom, call your brother, call your friends, whatever. Every single day should be exactly the same. So, I achieved that through like, different time management techniques, making sure like I finish my work on time, and, find time for workout, going out for a walk, spending time with my wife, spending time with my family. Obviously there is like ups and downs where you go see your friends, or, every other week or stuff like that. Those obviously things, on the weekend you can do that, but this is how I do it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I sometimes I feel like people have to have some sort of epiphany if they don't try to build it in, right? But it is so important. And I think when you do it right, even your performance improves. I think that was my issue, right? Early years of the business, you just got to work, right? I got to work 150 hours a week, 200 hours a week. Don't sleep, just right. And I got chubby. I didn't see any friends or anybody. All I was doing was working, right? And then I'm like, well, 2 hours at the gym, or or there and back, and that's 2 hours I could have been working. Right? Same thing. Well, I don't need to spend time with friends. Like, that's just a distraction, or they're not trying to accomplish the same goals, or et cetera, et cetera. There is something to be said about networking, and you may have to change friends. That's okay. But it was very interesting revelation to me, where working less but prioritizing those other things allows you to work better, right? Your work becomes, right? You work, right? Kind of the analogy, work smarter, not harder, right? You have more clarity because you worked out, because you released a bunch of stress and endorphins and all of that, right? So you're going to be much clearer when you spend time with friends and family, and you're off your phone, or you're not on your computer, right? You're more present. So you're starting to implement that, right? There's so many benefits, I feel like, that you have as you actually start to pay attention. And I think that's the perfect, what you're doing, what you're talking about with journaling, gratitude. Now you're reflecting on those changes and shifts that you're making, so that you can actually see the impact of them versus not really paying attention to them. And I feel like would you agree that that's one of the biggest reasons that you kind of notice the shift and keep with it?
Oh, for sure. There is a very famous seminar from Jim Rohn that I actually listened to on YouTube a while back, and in that video he actually shares like 5 secrets of life. And number one, he says, is the psychology. Like, you need to be in the right mindset, right? Because if you are not in the right mindset, you are not like going to absorb anything. Like, people will tell you, and everything will like deflect off of you, right? So you need to be in the right psychology, right mindset. Hey, I want to be successful. Hey, I want to change my life. Like, if you are in, you need to have that. Then second thing is, you need to get more knowledge, right? So once you gain more knowledge, you can like find out, like, the more I know, the less I know, the more I know, the less I know. You keep reading these things, you're like, oh my god, like I thought like I knew everything, but I don't know anything, right? So more knowledge you gain, the more you can apply it in your life. And number three thing he says is take action, right? You are in the right mindset, you gain the right knowledge, and just don't sit on the knowledge. I know so many people in my even entrepreneurship groups, they talk about, I read this book, I read that book, I'm going to read 12 books this year, blah blah blah. And as newbie entrepreneurs, we, like, I know so many people who do the same thing. I have literally so many friends who just keep on collecting information all the time, but they don't take action. You have to take action, right? Because
Yep.
once you take action, you realize, like, okay, you know what I am trying to do is either like worth it or not. Fourth thing he says is measure your results, right? And because if you are not if you're just like doing something, you want to be a best basketball player and you're working for 5 years of your life and you're still like shit, right? Accept the fact that you're not a basketball player. Maybe you need to, switch gears and do something else, right? And number five thing he says is like to repeat, right? Which means, so when you do measure the results, if something is working for you, you go back and hit it hard, right? You repeat it, like, because that thing is working for you, and discard all the other things. One thing I wanted to point out, like in addition to what you were saying too, is I think the social media or the business world kind of teaches you to like hustle, 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 right? And like you need to hustle, and you need to hustle to become like successful, blah blah blah. It's true. It's true to some extent, right? But hustle, the definition of hustle is associated with only like one thing, which is your career advancement or making money. Hustle needs to be associated with other aspects as well. Hustle in your health as well, hustle in your fitness as well, hustle in becoming a better human being, hustle in becoming a better father, hustle in becoming a better husband, because those are some of the areas of your life as well that also need hustling, because but we are just like chasing money, and like we're hustling only in that aspect. So once we do achieve that, then we go in depression. We're like, oh my god, okay, I achieved this, like I hustled all my life, it's not even worth it. I was actually happier when I was not hustling.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I feel like right, you're bringing up a really, really important thing where I think even on this podcast, right, we focus a lot on entrepreneurs like yourself, successful entrepreneurs like yourself, and like, I want to hack everything that you're doing successfully for DMoose. We haven't even talked about DMoose's growth yet, which we should. But I like the personal stuff that you're talking about, because so many entrepreneurs are sometimes chasing the wrong thing for them individually. And I think that was even something I had to go through in my own personal life, was like, what was my definition of success to me? And right. And you and I have talked about this offline, but like everyone has a different definition of success, and that's okay, as it sort of should be, right? Because there is success on a professional level, there's success on a personal level, right? Maybe like for me, success is providing for my family, making sure that they're not concerned about financials, or always making sure that things are taken care of. It doesn't need to be tens of millions of dollars in order to fulfill that piece, right? It's just having a cushion and making sure, okay, we're never concerned about paying bills or anything like that, right? And for me, that's a huge piece of success for me. But then, of course, you have to continuously have the motivation. So then if I accomplish what my definition of success is, now what's my motivation to keep going? And for some people, it's chasing certain things and accomplishing the next level. For others, it's okay kind of where they're at. And I see this with a lot of entrepreneurs where they chase certain goals and they're actually become so much less happy, right? They had a $3 million business, and life was good. The team was small. They liked where they were at. Profit was good. They were at a really good place. And in order to get to 10 million, they had to do all this crazy work, all this high growth, right? They got to 10 million. They're at 10 million. And they're like, I'm not enjoying my, right? I'm making a little bit more money, or making quite a bit more money, but like I liked my life more when I was running a $3 million business, because I had more freedom, or I had more, right? So then now they need to either solve the freedom piece or the time piece, or they're being stretched to whatever it is, right? But I think it is something where sometimes we're chasing this thing, right? And like I'm a big action taker, but actually I just grabbed this book recently, Write It Down, Make It Happen, from a colleague of mine recommended it. And it's funny because exactly you're saying take action, don't read books. And I'm telling you to read a book to take action. But it is very, it does bring clarity sometimes to do just that, right? To really write down like, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Where are you trying to go with that? What does that look like? Defining success for you personally. And then I love what you're talking about, because we're also right. You're also talking about you need to set goals and success levers within every one of those pillars, right? Like understanding. And I think that's another thing that you brought up, which we haven't talked on this podcast enough about in the past, I feel like, but like you observed your personal core values, and then you took your personal core values and then you literally designed your entire life around those, personally, professionally, the way your business runs, the types of customers you serve, right? Because then it's going to offer you a more fulfilling life.
Yeah, I mean, one of the analogies that I use with my some of my friends is as well is because I see a lot of people, they want to chase something in their life, and they just, they just like frantically and blindly just like going haywire and going round and round around that thing. That thing is kind of like in the middle, and they're just like, all the time hustling and doing like all these different things trying to chase that thing. But sometimes I tell this to my friend too, like, hey, sometimes the best thing to do is just you need to stop, right? You need to stop, and then once you stop, you will see that thing in the center, right? And once you see that thing, you're like, okay, let me make a plan on how I am going to achieve that thing, rather than doing 900 and just like constantly trying to chase it. Let me attract that thing towards me. So you shift your mentality from being a chaser to attracting that like thing, and that always comes with having some kind of a plan. It doesn't happen. If you don't have a plan, and you don't know how to attract it, it's not going to come to you. So that's like one of the things that I use and tell a lot of people, that you need to attract rather than like chase those different things.
Yeah.
I actually want to talk about one, because you were talking, that everyone needs to have like certain goals and all that. So it's 100% true. And another quote that I actually made myself, because I believe you need two important, you need to have like an overall vision, overall core values, friends, family, fitness, whatever. But every day should be about being grateful, and every day should be about chasing goals as well. Because I spoke about this with so many of different people. I say, hey guys, you need to be grateful, and they just sit and they're like, okay, we're grateful, we're not going to do anything else, we are grateful with the car I have, with whatever I have, and then you don't have any passion in life. You're just like, okay, I'm grateful for what I have. And after some time, again you go in depression, you're like, I'm not doing anything, you're sitting on the couch, blah blah blah. So my definition is, hey, you need to be grateful, yet you also need to chase your own goals and dreams every single day, because you need to have passions in your life, you need to have a vision in your life. And does that vision is your vision. You need to chase your own vision, your own goal, your own success. You're not chasing anybody's success, because once you start chasing somebody else's success, you go into that mode of comparing yourself with somebody again, and then you not grateful. So it's like a feedback loop. You need to be grateful with what you have, and you need to chase the goals that you have every single day. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I'm with you, because I think if you, right, at its core, we have to be, we have to realize how monumentally blessed we are, because, right, if we're just of sound mind and body, and I'm assuming the majority of people listening to this podcast are, right, then just right there, we have so much to be grateful for. And then, right, and then the other thing is, like, you're not going to be filled with happiness or completeness until you are grateful. And so, yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think the other thing on the goal side is, sometimes we set these goals, sometimes they're stretch goals, sometimes they're not, and then we don't get there. Actually, I was on a really great call this morning, and I loved what they were talking about with The way that we talk to kids is not how we talk to ourselves. So if somebody has kids, you're like, you got it. You did it, right? You did all the work and you did a great job, blah, blah, blah. But we don't talk to ourselves like that, right? We're super hard on ourselves. We're like, oh, you're not successful. You're not where you should be. And that negative self-talk can have like a huge negative effect. And I love the fitness portion and the fitness analogy because, right, you can't go to the gym for 10 hours and then see results the next day and all of a sudden be way stronger, right?
Yeah.
It's a long game. You got to show up every day, every other day, and not quit, right? But then as you see that shift happen, you're like, oh, wow, my hard work is paying off and you're seeing the results of it. And it's the silliest analogy, but it's so true. Like that's just everything else in life too, right? If you just show up to work and you make sure you do one thing a day that's towards your goals and work on all of those other pieces over time, of course, just everything starts working together. And the fitness piece to me, I think sometimes is like the easiest missing piece, I feel like, right? Where it's like, it brings you more energy, right? It brings you so many benefits, so many health benefits and everything else, right? But then you also see like, right? You start to, it's just like a mental, manipulation in a way of like, oh, wow, if I just show up every day and I do a little bit of work, I'm going to see the results of it. So, hey, I'm doing a great job at work and everything else because I do that.
There's another example that I use that, people love multitasking. I hate multitasking, because I believe your mind is made to focus on only one certain thing with like proper focus. Like your mind has limited bandwidth, right? You cannot focus on 900 things at the same time, right? So I have actually noticed this in my own personal life as well. Whenever I had like, some health issues in my entrepreneurship career, like couple of times, and once my health like deteriorate, I'm focusing all the time on my health. I'm focusing my mind is limited and is focusing how to fix myself. Oh my God, I have pain. Oh my God, I have my mind is not thinking about new ideas for my business. My mind is not thinking about traveling. My mind is not thinking about, getting more knowledge about other aspects, right? So it's just like fixated on one issue, right? So whenever I have lived life in balance, which means like, hey, if I'm taking care of my fitness, all the other areas are improving, right? So for also like when I'm also just focusing on business, I'm working all the time, but I'm not taking a break and going out traveling or going out seeing my family or working out. I'm not getting new ideas. I'm just like a slave to my business. And the only reason I have been able to scale, quite honestly, in my business is a lot of my ideas have came to me in the shower or when I'm driving or when I'm traveling, literally in the plane, because my mind is like, some people also get Wi-Fi in the plane. I don't get Wi-Fi in the plane because I use that time to, just like think about things, like where my life stands, and because your mind is like really free at that time and it wanders off and you start to think like about all of these different things. And I got a lot of next level ideas. It's very important to, keep everything in balance and, in harmony with each other, because if you won't, like, you won't be able to like focus on the other aspects of your life.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Curious, for someone overwhelmed maybe by the idea of starting a fitness routine, what would your maybe top 3 pieces of advice be to them to get started?
I say, in this day and age, because I'm more into longevity as well, I say, you need to get your biomarkers and hormones fully optimized. You need to know, you can go and start working out, but your body is not recovering properly, you're not losing weight properly, you're not gaining muscle properly. So, just like in business as well, like you cannot fix what you cannot measure. So once you measure, your base point, if you do, there's like hundreds of tests out there that can tell you like 900 things about yourself. Where are your hormones? Where are your biomarkers? Once you do that, you can kind of create a plan. Hey, I need to focus on lowering my cholesterol with this kind of a fitness plan, right? I need to do more cardio. I cannot actually make muscle. I don't need to like work out, like do strength training. Obviously you should, but like, you can at least make a short-term goal and focus on, hey, this is my goal. I need to walk more. I need to like change my diet, not eat meat for a certain while, like, maybe eat more beans or whatever it is. So I suggest anyone who is starting out, like, there's a lot of different websites that are doing this for you. If you can even also do your DNA testing as well to find out, like, how much focus you have, how much coffee you can drink, what kind of diseases you're going to have in the future. DNA testing these days can also tell you a lot about you. And from there on too, you can find a lot of different things, and you can use that knowledge to create a specific plan for you. Because I believe I have tried keto diet, it did not work for me. I have tried paleo diet, it did not work for me. Vegan diet, it did not work for me. Mediterranean diet works best for me, right? And it's the same thing, I believe. So all those people, before I met my friends, and they're selling me on keto diet all the time. Hey, keto is the best, keto is the best, keto is the best, keto is the best. But the fact is, yes, keto is the best, but it's not for everyone. You need to know your DNA. You need to know your biomarkers, because your genes are completely different from someone who is from South Asia, or who is from Africa, or who is from, he can absorb more sunlight. You need to absorb less sunlight, and, he has more vitamin D, you have less vitamin D. He can eat meat, you cannot eat meat, like all of those things. Just, I say, measure yourself, and from there, go forward.
I love that. Great recommendation. And my mom just actually had a minor heart attack, and one of her valves was blocked. They've got a stent. She's totally good, but they were immediately like, you need to eat less meat and be on a Mediterranean diet. They gave her a whole booklet on Mediterranean diet. So you're definitely on the right track. And I totally agree with you. And I love all the points that you're making, which are really, really valid. And I love what we've talked about as a whole, because all the like little things, hey, optimizing conversion rate on the website, or, increasing, how do I get more traffic, or how do I get the best creative, or whatever it is, none of it really matters if you haven't solved all the things that we just talked about. Right. And
Absolutely.
some of them are core to us as individuals. Some of those things are core to our business. That was something even for Fetch and Funnel, for example. I didn't even know where to start with the business's core values, but I knew how important it was for me to build a successful culture and team was to implement core values. And then I realized my personal core values fit perfectly as the business's core values. They have different definitions, but the core values themselves are still the same.
It has to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry, I got you off.
No, and I mean, I agree, right? And I think even big businesses are missing that sometimes, right? I mean, even it's nuts how massive corporations sometimes, I don't know about massive corporations, but some really successful businesses still don't have some of those pieces in place. And if you don't, like, nothing else really matters. How much success you accomplish or don't, or any of that, you definitely, I know both of our personal goals for anybody listening is definitely to live a fulfilling life. And I love that you started with that, which I really appreciate. Maybe last piece that I'll ask, just as I ask everyone, any book recommendation that you have, either something you read recently or one that maybe kind of influenced you a lot in your career?
One of the best books that I read long time ago, and I still consider that as the best if someone wants to be successful or like change his life, is The School of Greatness from Lewis Howes. It was one of the few books that I read in the beginning, because it kind of summarizes the life of the successful people and what they do day to day, and puts a lot of things into perspective, like, hey, success is not that easy. Like, successful people are working hard, they have these routines, they have these habits, it just didn't happen to them overnight. And it kind of like breaks down the step-by-step things you need to do to like create that daily routine / lifestyle, right? So that's the book I would recommend. Yeah.
Love it. Mussayab, I really appreciate all the advice and value that you've provided here. If anybody wants to connect with you, where's a good place for them to connect with you?
Twitter is the best place. Follow me at Mussaverse, Mussaverse. That's where I'm most active these days. I am very much into giving back. I love giving back. So if anyone wants to connect with me and has any issues that they want to talk about, or fulfillment wise, business wise, e-commerce wise, I would be more than happy to chat.
Really appreciate it. You guys should take advantage of that. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you for having me.